Matthew, ETFs are a hot topic here at the Future of Digital Assets event that Benzinga is producing. You just walked off the Big Ideas stage. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the timeline of spot Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. There seems to be a lot of contrasting opinions. Kevin O'Leary thinks it's going to be another year. Others think it might be November 17th, which is right around the corner. What are your thoughts?
Well, first I want to say that the focus, I think, of the market is on Bitcoin, not just these ETFs. Investors are looking increasingly at the unsustainable path of the U.S. federal budget and the ballooning amounts of debt that we are issuing to fund it, and asking themselves, is there an alternative? And we're starting to hear a narrative around Bitcoin as a safe haven from some of the largest investing luminaries. Now, VanEck's been among them for more than 5 years. We were the first TradFi firm to file for spot Bitcoin ETF. We would love it if the first to file was also the first to be approved. It doesn't appear like that's going to be the situation.
Well, what goes into that? What would make you not be the first?
Issuers have continually been forced to file and then refile after the SEC rejected previous applications. So whatever changed inside the chairman's mind, and a part of it has to do with lawsuits that the SEC is losing, is forcing them to appear to go ahead and pave the way for these products to be approved. I think they realize that it wouldn't be terribly fair to give the largest filer a head start. So we're hopeful that a handful of the initial issuers will be allowed to market at the same time.
Now, 2024 is right around the corner. What are your predictions for the next year? Any trends that you're noticing and that perhaps folks here aren't talking about? What's going on under the radar?
I think the number one kind of North Star to remember is that Bitcoin's on a 4-year cycle, and next year is the seminal year with the Bitcoin halving and the U.S. election, and what looks increasingly like a pause in the interest rate tightening regime. So we're positioned for an all-time high in Bitcoin in Q4 of next year, potentially in the wake of a contentious election season. And the rest of the space hinges off that, right? Prior cycles that we've seen Bitcoin rally first, Bitcoin dominance rise first, and then investors take their profits from Bitcoin and speculate and invest in kind of higher risk, longer tail assets. And we think this cycle will play out much the same way.
Moody's changed its outlook on the U.S. Fitch Ratings did in August. We no longer have a AAA rating. Is that good for Bitcoin?
The ratings agencies are lowering their ratings on U.S. debt and raising their ratings on El Salvador, which continues to see upgrades and their debt rally. So we think that Bitcoin is becoming increasingly attractive for sovereign nations to hold for their own reserves, particularly when those nations are rich in natural resources, which can be converted into Bitcoin with fewer capital requirements than traditional energy infrastructure, such as pipelines, batteries. Bitcoin is the economic battery, and we're looking forward to the election in Argentina this coming Sunday, where the pro-Bitcoiner Milei is the odds-on favorite to win. The largest private Argentinian oil and gas company just announced plans to mine Bitcoin with the excess methane that's produced from their gas fields, and we think that's going to be a strong narrative for quite a while.
How does the Argentinian election factor into VanEck? How does it help?
VanEck is first and foremost a macro thematic investor. So we've been managing active portfolios in emerging markets equity, emerging markets debt, now digital assets as well. We think there's a lot of synergies here because it's often in the countries with the highest inflation, and the most volatile politics that are most open to the type of disruption that Bitcoin and open source monies like Bitcoin can enable. Our venture investments have focused on emerging markets and frontier market exchanges. Our EM debt team is very focused on which countries have kind of sustainable monetary and fiscal policies, and Bitcoin continues to surface as gaining market share within some of these countries.
So it sounds like you have a very optimistic look on cryptocurrency abroad. What is your opinion on the way regulators are approaching it here in the United States? Let's pretend the SEC chair is here right now. What do you have to say to him?
The inability of the U.S. to regulate this industry and embrace the pro-growth elements of it are very clearly pushing innovation and development abroad. We can track the geographic location of the developers contributing to these open source projects, and the U.S. is losing market share. So I think that it starts at the very top, right? We have a very elderly president who is informed by the post-World War II economic order, which is ending. In our view, maybe it's slowly and then suddenly, maybe it's just slowly, but there's an increasing number of our enemies who don't want to buy U.S. treasuries because they see what the money is being spent on. And so we think that Bitcoin is those types of countries will be naturally attracted to Bitcoin, and then the U.S., because we try all other options before arriving at the best option, we will eventually come around to the game.
Great. Matthew, thank you so much.
Thank you.
How'd that feel?
Is that all right?
That was great for me. Is there anything else you want to sort of touch upon? All right, cool. Yeah, thanks a lot.